Hi everyone, and thanks for being with me. I'm going to have now one of my rants about my favourite subject, a subject which receives very, very little publicity and which regretfully doesn't get the airing that it needs unless a child dies or there is a significant figure, a politician, a Catholic school principal, or perhaps a media person are called out in regard to this. And this is in relation to childhood sexual abuse. Now, over the last few months, there have been some allegations against Alan Jones. They only rest as allegations. I'm not making any assertions about the man at all. And there also have been allegations in relation to St Kevin's College. Now, the point I want to make about these two allegations are that important, significant people come forward to defend some of these people. I'm not going to talk specifically today about the people that have come out to support Alan Jones, but I am prepared to make the comment that there have been many people who knew of Jones's behaviour, alleged behaviour, I should say, and that have chosen not to voice their concerns. And in doing so, they continue to allow, permit, to obfuscate in this particular area in regard to the abuse of children. Now, there simply is no excuse for it. And the reason why it is a specific concern to me is that it's an area I've been working in for over 20 years. I have some understanding as to the experiences these children have. I also have some strong understandings about the impact this behaviour has on these children when they turn into adults. I know that it destroys their lives, that it creates poor relationships, and that often it ends in mental well-being issues and suicide. Now, the people that support these people, and that includes people like Alan Jones, who supported George Pell, people like Andrew Bolt, who also supported George Pell, even though he was found guilty, even though he was acquitted of that later through the High Court. But he was found guilty initially, and there is enough suspicion resting around him in terms of those people that made allegations against him that he did commit these crimes. I can actually say that now. He's no longer with us, thank God. He's discovered his own place in hell with all the other priests who have done the same sort of behaviour. But the question I'm asking these days is, why is it that we choose to accept what these media people say about these people, and why are we not challenging them about the fact that they refused to acknowledge, potentially, even if they are allegations, as to what these men like Alan Jones and the sports teacher at St Kevin's were doing? Why is it that they want to bury their head in the sand with regard to this? Because I believe that had each of these people challenged those people that have now been accused and did not accept their friendship, did not support them, that they had enough information to be able to say, well, if this comes out at the end of the day and someone does accuse you, then I can honestly say I had nothing to do with it. I wiped my hands off you years ago. It was suspicious at the time. I know there probably wasn't any evidence right there and then, but I had enough information to be able to say that you're a person with whom I didn't want to associate. But they don't, because these people like Jones and Pell and others have power. They have authority. They're almost one strand above the law, that they're not going to get caught, generally, and they get away with it for so many years that it becomes improbable that they'd even committed these particular crimes. So what has happened? Well, let me just take you to this particular individual to start with. So Alan Jones accused of indecent assault. Well, I'm not going to run through. There's plenty of articles in relation to this. But in this particular news article, this statement is made, and I think this is important for us to understand. In the years before his death, businessman Alexander Hartman made allegations to 4 journalists about Jones, including, this is what he told the journalists. Journalists are just as responsible for doing nothing and for the impact it has on children as are politicians, business people and others who tend to ignore these issues. But in this case, Hartman had told somebody, I was his prey. I know I am not the only one, and this will come out somehow. He forces himself on young men and uses his power in a predatory way. That would have been enough for journalists to think, okay, we need to do something about this guy. We need to investigate it further. So the question I'm asking now is, why in the hell didn't they make those investigations? What stopped the journalists from doing their due diligence to find the people that were prepared to make those allegations? My guess is that they were fearful that a powerful person like Alan Jones would actually sue them. So I'll now take you to St Kevin's. Now, you may or may not have heard about this story, and this is reported on the ABC. But this particular story is about St Kevin's College, because they supported a child sex offender coach, and as this title says, to the horror of his student victims. A top Catholic boys' school is facing accusations of a culture of cover-up, and this is the problem, that whichever way we turn, these people tend to get away with it. Now, I don't know if you're the same as me, but I find this revolting. You know, there's a lack of transparency in all walks of life. In politics, there's a lack of transparency. In business, there's a lack of transparency. In the education system, there's a lack of transparency, and so it goes on. We look at all the tiers that there are, and we can see that there are ways by which we are prevented from finding out the truth about issues that we're concerned about. It happens all the time. It's another issue for perhaps another conversation another time, which I will be having with you. But this is the problem. At St Kevin's Catholic College in Melbourne hits the headlines last year when its students were filming singing sexist chants on a Melbourne tram. It's just dickheads, let's face it. Incident tarred the reputation of the school. Who gives a shit? But apparently it had a reputation, and now it is tarred. Who cares? In recent years, St Kevin's was also caught up in one of the biggest scandals to hit the Catholic Church. A jury found Cardinal Pell was guilty of sexually abusing 2 13-year-old boys, right? As I've discussed, the 2 victims were on scholarships at St Kevin's. The school has found itself at the centre of another new scandal after Four Corners discovered that in 2015, its current headmaster, Stephen Russell, wrote a character reference for former coach Peter Keogh. Now, Keogh was convicted of child sexual abuse. The Dean of Sport at the college, Luke Travers, also gave character reference to Keogh at his trial. So here's a man who is on trial, later found convicted, right? So the dude has got these heavy allegations with people coming to the trial, witnesses coming, saying this is what this man has done to me. And yet these people stand up and they say, well, he's a great dude. He's a good guy. He's caring. He's loving. Perhaps the loving is not the right word to use, but he's got these wonderful characteristics, which is what bloody pedophiles do. They groom people so that they see them in a positive light while committing these horrible offences against kids. This is what they do. Just to carry on with this particular article, in 2014, Paris' mother, Caroline Redmond, raised concerns about Keogh's coaching her son alone. She said she was reassured in a telephone call from the school that headmaster Stephen Russell wanted her to know that Peter is a good person, a good character, and you have nothing to worry about. even though the mother was seeing a change in behaviour in this child and therefore wanted to understand a little bit more about who this dude was. But the church and the college in this case decided that, well, they weren't going to investigate who this guy, probably didn't even have a chance to, didn't even talk to the kids about this man's behaviour, and just said he was of good character, because there's no way in the world we can besmirch the name of a Catholic school, right? We see this over and over again. So my issue is that I think that we spend far too much time, journalists included, protecting these dudes who are behaving in the most horrendous way towards kids and trying to control, in effect, their lives by behaving in ways which are sexually gratifying to the perpetrator. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. But for some reason, our society, through these people, tend to accept it. And I'm saying it's time that we made a change to all of this so that we no longer accept it, because it is not acceptable behaviour. It destroys people's lives. Can't say that strongly enough. Yet we seem to allow this behaviour to continue because the powerful refuse to believe that those people who are in their inner circle, those who are also powerful, are behaving in such atrocious ways, e.g. George Pell, Jones, and now this school and their defending of Keogh. So what do you think? Please let me know in the comment section below. And I just want to make a comment here. I've just signed up to Patreon. If you'd like to help me to continue to do this work that I do on a regular basis, as many of you who are aware, and to help my work in this area grow, then you can access Patreon as you now see on the screen. And also, will you please subscribe to my YouTube channel, ring the bell for further notifications as well. That would be absolutely fabulous. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.